We've been running through a series which is Introduction to Success, where I've been talking about the major secrets that are hiding in plain sight that can help transform your life if you understand them. Some of them are things that you may know or you know in a way, but you've gotten so familiar with that it has become so impotent in your life. You've had it too much, and then it's no longer the thing you want to hear because you've had it. It's just like a flat line. It is not beneficial to your life anymore. But I want you to subscribe to my channel. I want you to like and share this on every platform that you believe people, your friends, or then you can send it to targeted person. So I would say that what we have to discuss today in the introduction to success, which we've talked about a number of things, and I want to go back to the previous videos. We talked about focus, about growth. We talked about, like the last time we talked about growth, we talked about discipline, talked about a number of things, change, desire, and today we'll be talking about environment. If you understand the impact of the environment and how energy flows around you, where you are at presently, where you are when you get home, when you go to work, around you, you'll understand how it impacts your life. So yesterday I was at an event, and I saw that a number of those who came to the event were high class people because of, you can see the luxurious automobiles that they had and the lifestyle they had. Now, if you exist in that environment, there is the energy that rubs off on you, that your life is bent to take that turn because your decisions will take, where you are looking to for opportunities will change, your confidence level will change, how you present yourself to people is going to change. Permit me to confirm with my team that this is really that I have my audio clear. Yes, thank you. So I would want you to leave a comment. I would want you to also follow whatever stands out to you during this live. I want you to put it in the comment section. This is promising, and it is tailored to transform your life. So your environment has a lot to do with all the growth that you are pouring into yourself or whatever you are self developing at. Now, if you will take a look at this first statement that I have here, it says the company your mind keeps. So when we talk about the environment, it is the company that your mind keeps. It is the company. It is what really feeds your mind the most. And I'll be talking about a lot of things here that I want you to pay attention to. So you can have a sharp vision, strong discipline, and real growth. But if your environment doesn't support it, it will slowly drain. Now, let me tell you a story. A long time back, there was one of some of those who I respect who came visiting, who came to one of my businesses at the time. And then we're engaged in a conversation, and I was explaining to him out that the environment that we were in at that time was the type that if you want your life to go really bigger than that environment, you will have to live a solitude life, a life of solitude, because not so many people do it around, or there are people who do it, but they are scattered around, so there's no community to bring them together. Now, if you have to build in that kind of environment where their lifestyle, their thinking pattern, their understanding of things, their aspirations are just way below the norm, or maybe there's nobody who has set the limit or who has set the standard, but way below what a man is aimed at achieving, the best or whatever the God-given talents that is inside of a man, the aspirations, the best of things they can imagine, is way too low. Now, in that kind of environment, you know that you can't even go out because it means that whatever they have around cannot foster the development you have in your mind. You can't have much friends because the people you find around will reflect that same environment. For them to be in that environment and remain in it and feel satisfied means that they are satisfied in that environment. And I remember the person said, well, you can still do it. Yes, you can do it, but it becomes more challenging for you to, because you won't be going out as such. You'll have to create your civilization yourself. And then I'll be talking about a number of things you can do to achieve that, because one of the main questions I'm about to solve over time for those who have bigger aspirations is, when I find myself in an environment where people don't really have aspirations, higher than or bigger than what they have in their environment. How do I do it? How do I survive? Or what do I do? There are some of the questions. I believe after by running through this session, you will be able to have answers to that if you're in that category as well. So you can have a sharp vision, you can have big dreams, you can have whatever it is you may have dreamt about or possibilities in your heart. But if your environment does not support it, it will slowly drain. This is another thing that people do not pay attention to. When your morale, when your desire starts declining, it doesn't happen at once. There's this popular illustration that people use. It's like when a fan is rolling, or when a car is when you're driving a car. Now, when you take your leg off the pedal, the car doesn't stop immediately. It's not like you're matching the brake. So it still moves, but it's stopping because it's not accelerating, but the speed will start declining. Over time, you discover the car is going to stop. Even if you're on the highway, it is going to stop if you do not match the accelerator. Now, that is what happens when you have people who do not have like minds, who do not have the same experiences or the same thought process around you. When you live in an environment where the lifestyle, the energy flowing is nothing to write home about. So you can't plant a seed in a toxic soil and blame the seed when it doesn't grow. And this is not weakness to outgrow people's species or habits. It is wisdom. It is not weakness at all. I was going to give this illustration out that we talk many times about, oh, plant the seed, plant the seed, plant the seed. It has to grow. Invest. Put your money in whatever, or self-develop. We talk about planting in order to arrive at harvest. But when you understand farming, which is agriculture, which is what we use to depict that kind of illustration, which is what the illustration depicts, you understand that it is not, some of the times, it is not all the seeds that go into the ground that would really come out well. Sometimes maybe the fault of the problem of the seed. Some other times maybe the problem of the soil. If you plant anything in some soils, it will never germinate, or it will even try to germinate, but it will die off, and it will not, the growth will not be sustained. So that is what happens when you are planted in the wrong environment. But you know what also happens when you have a plant vase, or that really carries a number of soil, and then you plant that soil together with the plant in another environment, you can tell that the plant can still survive. When you see horticulture, that's what they do majorly. So the original soil, the original major ground may not be fertile, may not be good for the plants, but they can dig up a space, put in the normal good soil, and then plant in it, and it's going to survive. Obviously, it will be commensurate with the size or eventual size or height of what you are planting, to know what level of soil you are going to put in. And that is to support the fact that you can create your own environment, whether or not the other environment is rough, is bad, doesn't support your growth. And I'm going to get into that in a short time. I'm going to say that wherever you're watching me, please leave me a like and a subscribe. I want people to be able to see this. I'm not doing this for the like and subscribe. I'm doing this for the transformation that it brings to you, and I'm happy doing this. So, and I want to share with those who need to be live right now. There are those people they need to hear these things I'm talking about. You need to send this to them. Thank you. So you can't stay in a room built for your past and expect your future to fit. I love talking about how that people may start small. You may start with nothing. You may start with no vision. You may start confused. You may start with mistakes. But the moment you are willing and ready for your life to take a good turn, you need to start taking decisions. We talked about decisions as well in one of our past lives, one of our past videos, how that your decisions really matter in the eventual outcome of your life. Decisions really matter. There's this one of my mantras says, decisions make men. Now, if you understand this, you'll know that it may not be a bad idea that you started with nothing, that you started with mistakes, you started maybe challenge, whatever the challenge may be, maybe with single parents, no money, maybe that your parents have money but they're abusive, or whatever the case is. It may not be bad to start off, but you have to make these decisions to make your life better. And that is exactly what happens when we talk about environment. I've thinking about this, I've seen a number of those I've had to counsel and coach that I've had to tell them a pathway to leave the environment they are presently in. The most popular would be, oh, cut out some friends, find them. If a space is too small for you, move out of that space and get another place. But we don't talk often enough about how that if it takes that you leave a city, you should. If it takes that you leave a country, you should. If it takes that you move your business from Fareham, Hampshire to London to Manchester, you should do that. If it takes that you move from Sydney to Texas, you should do that. If it takes that you move from Port Harcourt to Lagos to Abuja or back to Ekiti or wherever, you should do that. Now, environment cuts across a number of things I'll be talking about when I talked about the three layers of environment. But then I'll talk first about the psychology of environment. So, psychology tells us that we adapt faster and more than we think. So, what happens to a man? I've mentioned a number of this when I was talking about growth and some of the things we talked about. Because when you understand psychology, you understand how you are what you are, what made you what you are, why you do what you do, how you do what you do, why you have the interest you have. And that will help you understand how to bring it, to give you data as to how you can transform your life. How you can transform your life. So psychology says that we adapt faster and more than we think. So while if you remember that while growing up, there were things that nobody ever told you this is how to do it. You never thought about how do I do this thing. But because some other persons have done it around, say how to pick a cup, how to take a mug, they didn't tell you this is how to do it. But because you've seen them do it, you just replicate it, you mirror it. The same thing happens when we're in an environment, because environments are full of energies of tones, of habits, of decisions, of aspirations, different energies you can talk about. And this happens to you. You mirror them. It your muscles also contracts them. Your nervous system absorbs them and then begins to hack them out. So you have to understand that how your body learns is not only consciously, how you consciously learn. So you may say, this is what I want to learn, and you consciously do it. You pick the book, you want to learn how to read, how to study. You want to learn about chemistry. You want to learn mathematics. You want to learn how to talk, how to be confident. But you have to know that how to not be confident sometimes, or the fears because when we were born, we were not born with either fears. We were not born with fears, actually. We learned to fear by either what you hear or what you see people do, or whatever the energy that flows around. You learn from it. Your nervous system absorbs them and you begin to act them out. So when you understand this, you know how to alter the course of your life. So the brain mirrors what it sees, like tones, habits, energy, and even expectations. About expectations is a massive thing. So when you may have heard that, it's very popular. Now, I'm not going to be talking about things that are too in depth and all, but there are things that you've heard but you've not understood, or you understood peripherally, not really in depth. Now, when you hear people say, oh, if you walk with six wise men you become wise, or six wealthy men you become wise, when you walk with six fools you become a fool, you become the five fools, you become the sixth fool. What happens is that when you are around these people, whatever they do, they may not have to tell you, Shay, this is what you should be doing, this is how you should be doing it. They don't have to coach you to it. But what you see them do begins to become a possibility for you, and you begin to act them out. So if it is a fear, it begins to set in and bring you to that state of fear. If it is confidence, you begin to, because when you see it, it gives you data to see that it is possible. And the moment you see that it is possible, you begin to do it. Now, these things that I've explained do not happen in your conscious mind. It happens subconsciously. There are many things, a lot of things. In fact, Much more than the things you learn consciously, the bulk of the things you act out and you do are learned subconsciously in ways that you never said, oh, this is what I want my mind to believe. And I hope that makes sense to you. So you do not only live in an environment, you inherit the things, the energy that flows around in an environment. And to talk about expectation, I was going to mention now that if you're around people who don't see things become possible, it's going to rub off on you. You start doubting things, or you see things and say, oh, it doesn't work that way. 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 But when you're around people who happen to things, who are proactive, you just see that you want to do something. Instead of thinking about how for it not to happen, you start thinking about how it can happen, because the people around you always see things happen even when it fails. And then this also redefines your whatever it is, whether it is success or failure or money or marriage. You learn it from your environment. It rubs off on you. This is what happens when some people say men is a scum, men are bad, men is this. If you look at that environment, there are things that have happened, and as the energy that flows there that informs everybody to think that men are scum. Obviously, they start seeing all the men act out whatever they believe in. So, being around complainers rewires your brain to spot problems first. When you're around people who complain, that is what you see. Being around builders rewires it to notice possibilities. If you are around people who really commit to what they do, who are self developed, who give themselves to growth, who don't see failure as a setback, that is also what you become. It doesn't have to be you learning it consciously. It is the power of energy of an environment, the power of the energy. So that is why most powerful success decisions is the most powerful, or one of the most powerful success decisions is who and what you give your proximity to, the things surrounding you. And this includes whether or not it is movies, games, Xbox, music instruments, whatever it is, friends, humans, whatever it is, it really has a lot to say in the eventual outcome of your life. And then what are we talking about? We're talking about our introduction to success, how you can become successful in the basics. These are things that you can't negotiate if you want to predict your life or if you want to walk your life into success. So now I'll be talking about three layers of environment. Three layers of environment, and I need you to pay rapt attention to this if you are following me. I'll need you to let me know where you're joining from. I would love to give you a shout out to everybody who is live now. Let me know where you're joining from, and then I'll do well to leave you a shout out. That is if you're joining this live and you're not watching later. I also want you to leave me you to subscribe to this channel. I want you to like and share this with those you want them to see it, those you want them to know it, those you want them to follow through, those people you want them to see this. So I should be sharing this. It's coming to mind to share this with specific persons who need to really hear it, who really need to hear it, who really need to hear it. So you need to share this with everybody who needs to hear it. Everybody who needs to hear it. Now, three layers of environment. Three layers of environment. Sorry, permit me to do this. All right. So, the three layers of environment. The first is the people. That is your atmosphere. The first thing, very important that you know, you become like the people you respect, not the people you dislike. You become like the people you respect, not the people you dislike. And this applies to whether or not the people you respect are divorcees, if the people you respect are poor people, if the people you respect are weak people, if the people you respect are strong people, if the people you respect are godly people, if the people you respect are are misogynist, if the people you respect are liberal, you become those you respect. And this happens because connections feed your vision. This may not happen perfectly all the time, but connections, the people you are connected to, have a higher chance of transmitting energy to you, because when they talk, whether or not you are conscious about it, I believe I've ironed out that your brain and your mind does not only learn consciously. Maybe I should give one more example. This is very, very basic. Now, there are things that, let's say you enter a room or you go visiting, and there are songs that they've played or things that they've said that you were not paying attention to. You didn't even want to hear it. And then you get back home to just start saying the same things or the same words or singing the same song, and then you feel like, oh, I never paid attention to this. How did it get into my head? How did it get into me saying it? It's because your body takes more information than you're consciously aware of. And this does not only apply to hearing, it applies to all the senses that you have, all the five senses you have: the feeling, the touching, the hearing, the feeling, the hearing. I think feel and touch is the same. Hearing, speaking, perceiving, and the five senses. I don't know if I've mentioned the five just already. Now, the same applies to the people. When you have connections with them, they transmit more energy. So when they talk, your brain is not necessarily filtering through everything they have said. Now, it happens in most, I didn't say all. There are some times that you respect some people, but if you are aware, if you are self-aware and you're conscious about energy, the flow of energy, the flow of belief system, how that people pass their strengths to you in what they say, how that people pass their weaknesses to you in what they say, and they are not actually telling you, I want you to believe me, I want you to know this, they are just expressing their own lives. But you start playing it out, the fear starts coming out in what you do because you've listened to them. It's because there's a flow of energy. Now, I'll explain this, that in some cases where you are strong in yourself, you're able to say, I know this person. When you're self-aware, I know this person, I know his belief system, I know how he thinks, but I'm not going to think like that. So when you talk, there are things you are aware of. For example, when you're speaking with a divorcee, I'm sorry I mentioned divorcees now, it's just one of the examples. I'm not targeting divorcees. Not all divorcees are bad people, and there are genuine reasons why you can divorce at times. So, but when you're speaking to a divorcee and he's telling you, oh, men, well, men are good. You just have to be strong yourself and fend for yourself. Or let's even use women. So, or let's use divorced men. And they tell you, women are very hard to deal with. Well, that is just one of those things. Now, he's not telling you to believe it, but because you've had it, it has a very high chance of infringing your belief system or coming into your belief system for you to also agree with it. So that happens when you see people who are successful as well. People who are successful and they tell you, oh, I've just invested in this. This was a challenge I had, and this is how I'm mitigating it, or this is what I'm doing to improve it. What is sent to you is how to make things happen, the possibilities of how you can be resilient. So you start seeing that it's not like people who are successful, it's not like they don't have problems. It's just that they look for how to solve it and they move on. I was speaking with somebody yesterday who did something really massive. I really love. Oh, just this morning actually, did hosted an event yesterday, extremely wonderful event, and then he was talking about, oh, I just after the event I said no more. I'm not doing it anymore. And then the guest speaker said, oh, you have to do this now. If he had not said that, I would have thought, or not myself. I know how events work, how challenging it can be sometimes. I know how the journey of transformation really works out. But some people will see like, oh, this person is so awesome to have pulled this event. I want to be like this person. But you don't know that this person too needs encouragement, needs that she's reaffirmed that you can do it. Now, when you work with people like that, you see that, oh, they just make things happen. They are not superhumans, and you can do it as well. And if you work with people who pass out fear, they just all they talk about is money is evil, money makes you sin, money is not what God loves. People who have money, it's not like they are telling you to believe it, but when they talk, they say things like, those who have money, many times they have sicknesses they are nursing. Usually, you see all of those wealthy people, they have a problem somewhere. And then you feel like, wow, wow. So you start thinking maybe it's not about money. Obviously, it shouldn't be about you following the money, money, money. But it deals with the environment. Your environment really has a lot to say. I want you to kindly share this with everybody you want them to listen to this. So the first thing I talked about is the people. That is your atmosphere. And I said you become like the people you respect, not the ones you dislike. And whether or not they do what is right, what is good or bad, if you respect them, there's a flow of energy that really is transferred to you. Now, because some connections feed your vision. Some connections feed your vision. Please leave a like and subscribe and share with those you know who need to hear this. The second layer of environment is called space. And what I mean by space is your setup. And I'll give you a little framework to this. Now, in this space, I have on my board, I have on this wall I'm seeing right here, my task list for the week, which I follow up with my phone notepad. Those are intertwined, those are wired into my body to follow this up. It is part of an intentional structure that I have to keep my task working. I have my library here. I have a number of my books there, if not all of my books. I have a number of books I have to read. I have the things that really fosters the belief system I have. I have things that foster. Now, I don't have a game, even though sometimes it crosses my mind to buy a game. But I didn't buy it, even though I can always buy like an Xbox or a PS5 or whatever the game is and have it because I know that I need to be focused. I need to be focused, and this is going to take from the time I'm trying to manage. So I do not need to have an Xbox. That is being aware of your space. Your surroundings either trigger the clarity you want or fosters or triggers the chaos that you don't want. So if you've been trying to be self-disciplined and then you have a lot of games, a number of games or things you don't want, or that your friends can just come and dump things around. Another could be, say, how you stock your fridge. I love to talk about how that if you want to be self-disciplined, it's easier to take the things you are trying to take away from you, far away from you, than you have the yogurt in the freezer, in the fridge, and then you say, I don't want to take yogurt, but you keep buying and keeping in the fridge. No, you are going to take yogurt. You are just going to have it. So, rearrange your space to reflect your intention. The quiet, if it is to be quiet, if it is to be orderly, and if it is to bring inspiration to you. The brain associates place with state. Design a physical space that cues focus. Design a physical space that helps you achieve, that helps you focus, that depicts focus, that gives hints and cues to the things you want to do. Design what you want to achieve, what you want to aid your achievement. Now, about the people, I think I did the justice to it. You talk about the easiest thing people talk about when we talk about people is, cut off some people from your life. Yes, may need to also bring more people into your life. The right people. Cut off the wrong people who are not to foster. Sometimes, just taking a minute on the people. When you have people around you, shut down your dreams. Or let's even use the generic one because it could be vice versa. If somebody is too aspirational and has big dreams, if you talk with a person and you are the type who don't have any dream, you don't have anything you're doing with your life. Now, if you are that type and you start listening to that person, you feel bored, you feel drained, you feel like you wasted your time because this person just keeps talking about these things because you don't understand what he's even talking about. Now, because there's misalignment in priorities and in states of mind, you will not enjoy that conversation. You would be in the wrong environment because the type of person you need is the gossip type of person, talking about politics that you can't influence, talking about football that is not giving you money, and I believe, and so on and so forth. So we have the people, which is the atmosphere. We have the space, number 2, which is your setup, and the third is your input, which is your intake. So every word, clip, podcast, or conversation is data for the subconscious. If you keep consuming noise, don't wonder why you feel unfocused. So you have to curate your feed. Your feed, whatever it is, that is a timeline that gives you information like your future. You have to curate it. You have to adjust it. You have to tweak it. You have to work on it. Design it. with intentions, deliberately, like your future depends on it, because actually your future depends on it. One of the things I run through every of my mentees, one of the things I run through every of my mentees is you have to, not you need, you have to, whether or not you like it or you don't like it, you have to redesign your feed. Well, I'm not recommending this for you, but if you are following my life transformative journey, you can try it out. Go through your social media handles. I said handles, not handle. Instagram, Facebook, or whichever one you're active on, including WhatsApp status, including WhatsApp. What you have to do is to unfollow, and you unfollow every page that doesn't reflect your interest. So as a guy, there's nothing I'm doing with food pages when I've not followed enough the things that I really need to transform my life. Well, maybe after I have followed the pages that I need to transform my life, like coaches who do similar things, places where, or groups where I can get leads for clients, and other platforms that I need to belong to. Maybe then, if I am a foodie, I can have some pages of food to reflect my interest. Fine, but the focus is on what I need. So your social media handles, pages, profiles should reflect the type of person that you are, what you want to become, rather. Should reflect what you want to become. Follow people who know more than you do. People who do the things you do. People who you love, who you want to be like. Follow them. So curate it. Unfollow pranks. Get ready with me. Whatever it is that doesn't reflect your interest. Comedies, whatever, how it's done, things that you have no business doing. How to make a flask. Are you going to be making flasks? No, you're not going to be doing that. So why are you watching how to make flasks? So, and I know that there are pages now that you do not follow, but they show you things that you don't have business watching. There's a button where you press the three dots and then you go to not interested. And interestingly, now you can go to your Instagram and customize your algorithm to show you the things that you want to see, not the things you do not want to see. I believe this makes sense. If you want to know how this works, I'm going to do a video on that as well, or like a live stream when I have the time to to do that. So if you're still following, I would like you to leave a comment, to follow. I would like you to subscribe to this channel and share with those you know who need to watch this, because the environment is extremely important. So I just talked about the three layers of environment: the people, the space, and the input. Your life depends on those three things. So the signs, what are the signs that you've outgrown your environment? You know, I don't always take the longest time here, but I remember that when we were doing one of our book reviews, one of my mentees had said that so he's working on an expansion of his business, scaling his business. His business is grown. He's working on scaling his business, but he has to work on, when you want to scale a business, you have things to put in place before you can look to launching the bigger size of your business, and is at that phase. Now, one of the things he's working on is to leave the environment where it is, because it does not value his product as much as he would want. So he's moving to a bigger environment now, because this guy has outgrown that environment already. What happens is what will happen is the first point I have here, which is you feel drained after being in a certain environment or with certain people. So let me talk about the environment in the light of this example I'm giving you. Now, this guy went into the environment where he wants to belong because he feels that environment. He loves the energy there. He didn't want to come back home or go back to his business. And he told me, he said, when he was going back to his business, to the environment, he felt like he wished he was going to an entirely different space. He wished he was going to an entirely different space, but obviously at the time he wasn't going to an entirely different space. What I'm trying to point out here is the signs that you've outgrown an environment or a place or a people is that you feel drained when you are in that environment or speaking with those people. So let's talk about people. Imagine you are in a conversation and what they keep talking about is politics, and you are not a political person. It's not. Maybe if you are a broadcaster and you have to do politics, fine, it's in your line. You want to be with people who talk about politics. But let's talk about when you are not, or you are around people who talk about football and you're not a football person. Or let's talk about general economics. You are looking for how to grow your business, or you are still focusing on your studies, say your academic career, whatever it is. So I'll just pick one for the sake of to have an example. I love to talk about football because I'm not a fan of football as such. So if you're around people talk about football, I'm aspirational. I have this desire to do what is great, and I'm thinking about my life as the same guy who's playing football on the pitch is looking at how to grow his career. I'm looking at how I can grow my career, looking at the economic data, the best opportunity for my business, and that's what I want to relate with. Then and I have you in front of me, or I visit you, or I have you on the phone call, and the next thing you're talking about is football. It's just football. I had somebody else, it's sports or whatever other sport, rugby, or it's you're talking about gossips all around, the trending things, trending news. I'll feel drained because whatever you're talking about is not my interest. I just don't want to hear it. And the sad part is, if I try to ship in or chip in some of the things that I am presently, so I've taken time to listen to you because it should be two-way, not one way. So I know that you just want to talk about football or the latest gist in the news, and then you talk about it, and then I feel like, oh, that's nice. And as regards my business, I was looking at taking this step, making this move, and next thing you are going to say is, oh, that's nice, that's nice. Oh, have you also heard about the latest baking bag that has come out? It's You feel drained because the energy you're receiving is totally in contrast with the energy you want to get, and that you are pushing out. So you feel drained. I shouldn't take too much time on that. The second is, you hide your aspirations to avoid looking extra. Using the same example, in that kind of scenario, what you just have to do is you keep listening to them, but you don't want to talk extra. You don't want to talk about your business because you look too serious. You look too, oh, it's just about the business. Now, I have a friend. Obviously, I'm a career person. I'm aspirational. I have ambition for the things that I have to achieve in my life. And I have friends like that. So obviously, birds of the same feather will flock together. People who have the same energy will flow and flock together. So I have this friend. I can assure anybody with no doubt, with utmost certainty, that the first or the second minute into a conversation, he will talk about his business. Oh, this is what I'm thinking, or this is what I'm working on, this is what I think I should do, this is what I'm thinking I should not do, this was what I did the last time. He would get into his business because that is his life. That is his life. Now, I'm that type of person. We can rub minds together. I can give him advice. He can give me advice. I can coach him on what to do. He can suggest things for me to do as well. But imagine I bring in football as he's finished what he's talking about, and I'm talking about football. The energy is not going to match. No. So when you hide your aspirations and you just don't talk about it, you are in the wrong environment. The third year is, you are more peaceful alone than surrounded. This can also be that you are more peaceful with people who share the mind that you have than being alone and you have nothing to do. So let me explain this better. So if people around you, like I talked about when I was at a certain point in my life, the people around were not the type of people I wanted to live with. I mean, the whole geographical environment, not just my area, my street, the whole geography, were not people who had the same thought pattern. They were low thinking people. Now it forced me to only live in my apartment. So from morning till night, if I didn't have anything exceptional to do on the outside, like procure some materials for my business or to attend some clients invites, which are extremely crucial, or go to church, you would never see me out of that environment, out of my apartment. And this included visiting my parents because the environment wasn't it. And I wouldn't want to get into details about that because it doesn't reflect it. So what it did was it made me love being alone. Because I'd rather be alone than be speaking with people who are shallow minded, who would say, oh, I can't buy cars for my kids. Why? Because you're spoiling them. And I feel like, oh, what level of poverty is this? You can't buy cars for your kids. Know that it's because you are poor and your children, you've sent them to a poor school. And obviously, I'm talking about whatever it is, even if it is pre whatever school, you can have a driver drive your kids to school, but that's not what we're getting to. And the second could be if you are alone all the time and you know that it is not serving you, you feel drained being alone, then it means you need to get out and speak with people who can elevate you. This is one of the challenges that we face with some of the clients that I coach. Some of them are depressed, distressed, and not all the time. Some of the times it's because they are alone, or maybe they have people around who do not reflect the things they want to hear, who can't speak to their emotions, or who can't pass the energy that they want, that like more like the energy that will fuel the positive side of them. So it's very crucial. The third point here, or the fourth point here, is you keep explaining your growth instead of living it. When you have the wrong people around you, you need to keep explaining why you are doing the things you do to them. I remember at some point in my life, one of the things I did to those around me was, see, you, well, I wasn't explaining to everybody, but I would explain to only few persons who needed that I explained to them, like my mentees. I want you to enter my space and take me for what I am. I'm not going to be out here trying to tell you, oh, I love doing this. In fact, I remember at some point, if I was going to introduce myself and you say, oh, tell me a few things about yourself, what I loved to say was, I don't like talking about myself. I want you to see me, live my life, and then you know me by what you see me do. So I won't say, oh, I love to focus on my life. I love to focus on my business. No, you see me do it, but maybe sometimes you can do that to only those who are necessary that you communicate that to. But it is important that you don't keep explaining your growth, because the moment you keep explaining to people, this is why I'm doing this is why I'm doing this, I didn't send you this money because I'm working on my business, it's because they are the wrong type of people to be around you. And I hope that makes sense. This does not promote you to a level of arrogance where you think you can do anything for no reason, or you don't have people you're accountable to. It is not an excuse to not be accountable. You should understand that. It is not. There's nothing I say you should see as an excuse to not be accountable. That you shouldn't explain yourself does not mean that you should not be accountable. Now, how do you build a winning environment? If you are just joining, I would like that you go back to rewatch this. It is extremely important that you learn the things that I'm discussing with you. It is extremely important that you watch from the beginning and learn the things that I've said before now, because I'm going to be closing out now. But I'll talk about how to build a winning environment. The first thing here is you choose energy over history. Some people are not necessarily bad, but it is that they are from an earlier chapter of your life. So you need to keep them in that chapter. You don't have to keep featuring them in the new chapters of your life. So you don't look at, oh, it's been good to me, and that's why I'm keeping these people close. I also love to mention now that loyalty in life can be better handled with maturity. If you're mature, there's a way you handle loyalty. And it doesn't mean you do it doesn't mean people will not feel hurt, even though your right intent is not to hurt them. So what I'm trying to say is this person has been quite wholesome at the starting stage of my life. We were close, we would talk, we would gist, but now I have moved to another level. But this person cannot reason cannot reason in that level. His thinking is low, is shallow, but he still wants us to be having conversations all the time. That kind of person does not fit. I know that you have this guilty feeling like, oh, this person has spent his life for me. Are you trying to say you'll be ungrateful, or you'll disrespect them or disregard them? No, but not everybody who started with you in life needs that you take them along in every journey. No, not everybody. They can still, you still have relationship with them, but they don't necessarily have to be active members of what you are doing in the now. The truth of the fact is, people will do it to you. You shouldn't be angry that people will do it to you. And because sometimes you have done it to others as well, you have moved on. And what I have here is not just because of the credibility of what the people have had, and then you just keep them around for forever. No. No. If you are venturing into a new role, a new level, a new experience, a new career, then you may need to cut some people off. If you're friends, so I'm a type who I'm in my unique industry. I have friends who are never around the industry we are operating. And we still catch up because we are in business, we are in career, we have things to share. But if it is somebody who does not even have any aspirations, what are we going to be talking about? And that's why you make little time for those kind of people, not all the time for them. So they shouldn't say, I want your time now. Oh, I've been calling you, not been picking up the call. Some of them will get angry, some of them will not, depending on how mature they are. And it's not your responsibility to groom them as a baby till they become adults, because some will never grow. And I hope you understand that. The second is, so I also have here, choose energy over history. This is number one. Don't let guilt keep you in rooms your growth already left. Your growth already left. Don't let guilt keep you in a place, in an environment where the energy is not benefiting you. The second is stay near uncomfortable excellence. You have to be around people, or you have to be around people who stretch you. It is humbling, but it rewires your standard. I mentioned in the last video how I talked about you need to be comfortable to be the least experienced around people that you are just moving around. If you are the best among the people you move around, maybe you will not have a desire to reach higher, because what's there to inspire you as much or as such? So you need to learn to be in a place where you are not the best, you are still learning, and this makes room for you to learn the energy they have around to propel you into the life that you want to achieve yourself. The number three is you have to create micro sanctuaries, spaces, physical or mental, where your peace resets, like quiet mornings. Not everybody can do that. Or quiet nights, reading corners, or reflection time. Not everybody is blessed with the ability to reflect, but everyone should learn to become a person who can reflect, because reflection helps you to become better at being self-aware. You can access yourself, what you're doing, what is working, what is not working, what to tweak, what to improve, who to speak to, who not to speak to. You are able to get a better hang of your life. So much so that you have data. And if you are not able to process it yourself, you can speak to people who have more information, more knowledge than you do. And I hope that makes sense. So the first year is be the energy you want around you. I remember I've had questions around, oh, I see Shea Ali, you have awesome friends. How do I have awesome friends? I've seen people who need coaching, who ask questions like, how do I meet people who have better than I do? How do I meet people? You need to create the energy. Now, it doesn't start with the physical things. I've talked about how that you can have wealthy people as your friends. Maybe not all your friends, but the way you get in touch with wealthy people is not necessarily that you wish you get in touch with them. While there are various ways, some of the ways would be randomly meeting with them, but you need to have grown in your mind to be able to walk up to them and have conversations reasonable enough with them at their energy, at their frequency, or maybe if it doesn't match exactly, quite close, because you can take the time to build that mind, that confidence, that familiarity with success, with wealth, in a way that when you're speaking with somebody who runs his business in millions, and then he's talking about, oh, I spent £50,000 last week, you are not like, oh, £50,000. Maybe there will be a shock, but it's not showing on your face, in your expression, that, oh, 50,000, but you can hear it and feel like, this is what I want to hear. Wow, this guy is rich, this guy is wealthy, this guy has money, or this guy is successful. But then it's like, it's one of those things. So how do you do it? You can ask them questions. You are not intimidated because you have projected yourself inside of you, like this the same mantra I've been using from the beginning of this life, of this series, which is you cannot travel within. You cannot travel within and remain still without. Sooner or later, you're going to catch up. But you first have to learn that by traveling far within. So be the energy you want around you. The quickest way to change a space is to shift your own frequency. Environments follow energy, not what. Not I just want to have new friends now. I just want to do this now. And I believe you have seen people who talk a lot, but they either do nothing or do very little. And because they do very little, they think they are really doing. Oh, this is what I want to start doing now. The interesting thing is, even as a coach, I do not, as a mentor, as a coach, I don't listen to what people say. I listen to what people do. And that is why when I mentor people and I recommend things to do, I want you to give me a follow-up action. Not I've had you. No, I want you to give me a follow-up action. No, not I've had you, or you keep sitting, give me no. This is interesting. What you have said is just wonderful. It's what I will do. No, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear you really do the things that you should do. And I hope that makes sense. So, environment is everything. It shapes how you think, what you feel, and what you expect of yourself. If you stay in low energy spaces long enough, you start lowering your dreams to fit in. And I explained at the start of this session how that when you start lowering your dreams, it's not that you consciously start doing it like, let me low down, let me tone down my dream. It's like I'm dreaming too much. No, it just happens to you because the energy around is going to condition you to it. Let me give you this example, this illustration. When you keep any item, let me say metal, on a fire, the metal is going to reflect the heat of what is burning under. If what is burning under is burning at 60 degrees, it is going to be 60 degrees hot. If it's burning at 100, it's going to be 100 degrees hot. Now, let's imagine something. If what is burning under is 60 degrees and the metal is brought to that space as 100 degrees, what happens is the heat on the metal is going to start declining. The temperature is going to start declining till it matches the 60, whether it happens immediately or later. But it's going to happen slowly and gradually from 100 to 60. From 100 to 60. I wish I could use cruise control to explain this, but I don't need to do that. So change your environment and your potential starts breathing again. Success doesn't grow in the dark. It grows where light, truth, challenge, aspirations, desire, focus lives. That is where you find success, especially measurable, predictable success. Now, I love to give assessments to everyone listening to me, and I'll say this again as I'm explaining what I want you to do. I want you to take a pen. I'm not saying imagine you have taken a pen. I'm not saying think of taking a pen later. I'm saying take a pen and a note now, like now. You can still do this on a notepad. I'll give you the liberty of doing this on your notepad or on your phone. But take out that phone or minimize this. You can have it as a small screen or screen on screen, and then go to your notepad. I want you to write this out. And I'm saying this again. I want you to take this assessment. I'm not saying think of taking this assessment because you may have listened to everything I have to say, and in the next few days, it does nothing to you. This is how to really imprint what you have learned into your spirit, into your soul. The first is that you write the environments you need to live. And I talked about 3 layers of environment, which is where's that again? Which is the people, the space, and the input. So I want you to write the things you need to live, the environments you need to live. Maybe the physical space, like I talked about, maybe the input, like the podcast you watch, the clips you watch, the comedies you watch. They create an environment because you listen to them, you interact with them. So you have to create that environment. You need to create. So if there are some of them that you need to leave, the people you have to unfollow, the people you have to say no, not interested. For example, you cannot pick my phone, swipe through, and see comedies. You can never. Now, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm just trying to say that that's how good I am as it relates to my career. And then you have to tailor it to your career as well. If you're a comedian, maybe that's all you need to keep saying. But if you are not, you have no business in that. It shouldn't be your first or secondary priority. It shouldn't be in your first two, three priorities. And the second would be you. So the first is that you write out the environments you need to live. And the second would be write out the environments you need to build. And I've just said you need to do that now, not later. You need to do that now, not later. I'm saying again, you need to do that now. Like now, 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 not later. Do it now, not later. Write the environments you need to live and the environments you need to build. For example, I will audit my social media. I'm not going to be watching comedies anymore. So right now, I'm going to go to my phone by 6 p.m. I'm going to set the alarm now, and then 6 p.m. I'm going to audit my phone for 30 minutes. I'm going to follow all the pages and click on interested, or what I want to do is in my house, I want to dash out my Xbox, I want to sell it, I want to list it on Facebook Market, you need to write measurable things you will do, as environments you need to live, things you need to live, or like I said, the spaces you need to live, and write them out. You need to be actual. The second thing is write out the environments you need to build, the podcast you need to follow, and write it out by 6 p.m. today or whatever the time you're available. I'm going to take my phone and follow the pages of people who do the things that I want to do. If you're trying to build a career in tech, I'll follow people who are into tech. It's funny how that some people, they say they want to build a career in tech. If you audit their social media, everything you see does not reflect tech. Maybe one or two or few things, but the majority of the things you see on their feed is not related to their desires or their interests. And now you really know your desires and your interests. It's not just what you think in your conscious mind. It goes way back, way deep into your subconscious, way deep. There's this saying in Yoruba. I love Yoruba, like in Greek. I love in Yoruba. It says like, it is what a man desires that his wealth reflects the most. What you desire. So how you know it is, you may say, I don't really like cars. I don't like cars. But if a wealthy man has a lot of cars, he likes cars. He may say, "No, I don't really like cars." And he loves cars. He loves cars. He may say, I'm building houses because I need to secure my wealth. And he says, it's not like I like houses because you can only sleep in one at a time. But he keeps buying houses. I tell you, he desires houses. Because what you love is going to reflect the things that you spend your time and your life on. It's not just what you talk about. It's not only what you talk about. So I need you now to write out the things you need to build. So I need to follow these people. If you are a fashionist, I need to follow people who are fashionists. I need to I need to understand the I need to know the steps I need to take. So, with all of this thing, the goal is not to escape people, it is to elevate your atmosphere. Because no mind, however brilliant, can thrive on its own, can thrive in the wrong soil, no matter how brilliant, no matter how good the seed is in the wrong soil, it's just going to be messed up. Either have stunted growth, either not even grow, germinate in the first place, or I believe you understand that. I don't have to go into details or give you too many words to understand that. And this is all I need to explain to you today. So I'll be explaining to you how that I need to subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel. And then this book is 3 stages of a romantic relationship. It is written by Coach JSA, and I have this copy. You can buy it on Amazon, the Kindle version. You can always listen to the book, and you can buy the copy. If you want to save money, you can listen to it on Kindle, but if you want to buy a copy, you can always buy on Amazon. And this is how to find a mentor. I've written this book because I know that many people struggle with finding the right mentor. They have mentors that have molested them, abused them, honed them, and tell you, "Oh, if not for me, you would not have become successful." So this includes a step-by-step process to spot real mentors, avoid counterfeits, and multiply your growth. Also, avoid wrong mentors, choose the right guide, and grow faster on purpose. And I've also seen one of the things I want to do now is I've seen that people really need help as regards business ideas, business plans, how to create a business plan, how to get funding for their businesses. I'll be talking about many of these things as well. All you need to do to have access to them is to follow me. Interestingly, I'll be leaving many of these documents for free, but you need to be able to follow me, and I can give you the prompts and the website where you can get it for free, like at no cost, no hidden charges. I understand that people say no hidden charges, but then you get to a place on their landing page, there's something to pay. By minute, there is no hidden cost. How to find a mentor. I believe this is going to transform your life. This is all you've needed. Some of you even stopped believing in mentors, and some of you are struggling because you don't know where mentors hang out. You don't know where to speak to them, where to meet them. You just know that somewhere, somehow, somebody exists who can teach you. And the interesting news is that there are people who are willing to mentor people. They just can't enter the street or listen to anybody anyhow. But there are ways to get in touch with them. There are ways to interact with them. It's not after any session they have, say like a TED talk or TEDx talk, you walk up to them and say, "I want you to be my mentor. I want you to be my mentor." And they'll be like, "Who is this guy? I don't even know you." So there is how to do it in this book. And I want you to get a copy. It's on Amazon. At the moment, it's on Amazon. You can also listen to it on Kindle. You can listen to the book. Now it's easier for you to have a book by listening to it and not even having that copy. But for some of us, we need hard copies. It is why you need to get a copy of this book. It is on Amazon. It is on Amazon. And if you need the copy on seller, we can get it across to you as well. We can get you the link. Just let us know in the comments or in the DM wherever you're listening or watching this. Thank you so much. I want to have a wonderful time. It is another time to tell you that success is possible and it is repeatable. Ensure you have a lovely rest of your day.